Hey guys, this is Sean with Fight Fire with Fire, and today I have something truly exciting for you. You guys ready for this? Today we're going to be going through spreadsheets. Now, I know that's exactly how you want to spend the next 5 to 10 minutes of your life, so we'll get started soon, but let me explain what we're going to do today. I'm going to walk you through how to find the free portfolio tracking spreadsheet that I've created for use on the website, and then we're going to walk through what it is, the different areas in it, how to set it up for use with your portfolio, and then we're going to walk through a hypothetical example of how to use it to rebalance a portfolio. So I'm going to go ahead and set up screen sharing here so you can see what I'm doing. So let's get started with the excitement. Alright guys, once you're on the main website here, you can find the portfolio tracking spreadsheet by going to Investing Guide and then scrolling all the way down to the bottom. You are looking for this button, Portfolio Tracking Spreadsheet. Counterintuitive, I know. So you click on that, downloads to your computer, and then you can open it up. And this is the Portfolio Tracking Spreadsheet. So let's walk through a few sections here first. Let's use the same example we had in part 14 when we talked about portfolio rebalancing. That means a target asset allocation of 64% US stocks, 16% international stocks, and 20% bonds. And let's also say we have a 401k and a Roth IRA that we're going to be using as our investment accounts. Let's look at how to set that up on the spreadsheet. Okay, let's jump back to the spreadsheet and let's set up our portfolio here. So the first thing I want to point out is there's a section over on the left-hand side where you can put in your different investment accounts that are held inside your portfolio. So let's go ahead and do that. We have a 401k and we have a Roth IRA. The second thing we want to do is go down to the bottom here and put in our target asset allocation. So you can see there's different breakouts for US stocks, international stocks, and bonds. Those are the three major asset classes that I recommend most investors consider, and that's the basis we've been following for asset allocation models throughout the guide here. So let's go ahead and put our numbers in on that line. We're going to go with 64% US stocks, 16% international stocks, and 20% bonds. You'll also see that under combined, it now adds up to 100%. We want to make sure that's correct. On the right-hand side, there's a section here for your different fund choices. So once you get your fund selected within your different investment accounts, you can list them over there. You can list the tickers or the full fund names over there just as a quick reference if you want to. But that's an option for you. At this point, we're just going to assume you found some good funds in all those accounts. We're not going to bother listing tickers for the point of this example. So let's go ahead and set up our portfolio. Let's use clean numbers. Let's just say we have a total of $100,000 in our portfolio. We've also gone through the process, let's say, and we've determined that our 401k is going to be our rebalance account. If you guys remember, your rebalance account is where you're going to do all of your rebalancing. So you want to make sure that it's a tax sheltered account and it's going to have plenty of funds inside of it for rebalancing when we get to that point. Let's say that we've gone through it and our 401k fits all the criteria there. So that's going to hold all of our asset classes. So let's go ahead and put some imaginary numbers in here. Let's say we have $48,000 in US stocks inside of our 401k. We have $16,000 in international stocks inside the 401k, and we have $20,000 in bonds inside of our 401k. Let's also say that our Roth IRA is just going to hold US stocks. We're going to aim for that simple portfolio structure. We're going to try and make sure this is streamlined. So we're just going to hold $16,000 in our Roth IRA. Now, once we put our actual numbers in there, you can take a look at a couple different sections of the portfolio spreadsheet. If you look under the combined section, this is going to add up the different areas for US stocks, international stocks, and bonds and spit out a total that you hold inside that investment account. So we can tell that our 401k has a total of $84,000 in assets, and our Roth IRA has a total of $16,000 in assets. Total portfolio value is $100,000. Now let's go down to the bottom here and look at the different areas for your asset allocation. Again, this is where we put in our target asset allocation. This is what we want to strive for. So we want to have 64% US stocks, 16% international stocks, and 20% bonds inside of our portfolio. This line above it will tell you where you actually are. Being that we just put these numbers in, it lines up perfectly. That's probably not how yours is going to look at the first point, so don't worry too much about that. We're going to go through an example of when it changes and how that looks as it changes and what we can do with that. And that's the purpose of rebalancing. Above that, you see the same information in dollars. Based on your total portfolio value of $100K, your target asset allocation should be $64,000 inside US stocks, $16,000 in international stocks, and $20,000 in bonds. Your actual asset allocation is listed up above here. Now again, since we just put the numbers in here, it lines up perfectly. We're actually going to go through an example next that'll show us what that looks like when it changes. So let's say that the US market is in a strong bull market and it pulls ahead of your other two asset classes. You've got some strong growth inside US stocks, international stocks and bonds don't do as well, and as a result, your asset allocation ends up looking like this. So looking at our actual asset allocation, you can see our US stocks portion is now 69%, bonds have dropped to 17%, and international stocks have dropped to 14%. Let's look at the different variants here. Again, remembering our target asset allocation, which is 64% US stocks, we can take a look here and see how overvalued our US stocks allocation is. We're overvalued by 5%, and it's encroached on our bonds and international stocks allocations and dropped those percentages below what they should be. Let's take a look at our portfolio and see how that looks on the spreadsheet. Now, I went ahead and updated the spreadsheet to reflect our example. So, going through, we can see that our current asset allocation for US stocks is $69,000. We really want to hold $64,000 to adhere to our target, which means we're overvalued in US stocks by $5,000. Our international stocks are kind of the opposite. We hold $14,000 when we want to hold $16,000, which means we're undervalued there by $2,000. And our bonds are the same. We want to hold $20,000. We currently hold $17,000, which means we're undervalued by $3,000. The numbers below here show that same information in percentages. So if you look, US stocks now hold 69% of our portfolio when we really only want them to hold 64%. International stocks hold 14% when we really want 16%. And bonds only hold 17% when we want to hold 20%, which means we're overvalued in US stocks by 5% and undervalued in international stocks by 2% and bonds by 3%. So if we're using the variance bands method of rebalancing and our variance trigger is set to 5%, this information will tell you right there that we need to rebalance. So now that we know we need to rebalance, how exactly do we do that? How exactly do we look at our portfolio and know which asset classes need to be sold, which ones need to be bought, and how do we know what amounts to use for those? And that's exactly where the portfolio tracking spreadsheet will help you out a lot. If you look at the information along the bottom here, it will tell you how much you are off of your target asset allocation, both in dollars and percentages. So like I was saying, if you know that you're using your variance bands as a trigger, you know that you've set it to 5%, this will tell you that you're off by 5% on US stocks and that you need to rebalance. And the numbers up here will tell you exactly how much you need to sell or buy respectively to rebalance. So again, going through our portfolio, we know that we're overvalued in US stocks by $5,000. So what we need to do is sell $5,000 to bring us back down to the allocation that we've set out and use that $5,000 to buy back into international stocks and bonds. And the amounts that we need to buy are listed here. You need to put $2,000 back into international stocks and $3,000 back into bonds. And once you do that, that'll bring you back in line with your target asset allocation here. Those numbers will line up exactly as it looked when we first started the example here. Along with that, on the bottom, your allocation variance in percentages will now drop to 0. You'll be perfectly balanced, perfectly aligned with what your target asset allocation set out to be. So that's how you use the spreadsheet to look in. And if you have any questions as you go, I left some short notes over here just to remind you exactly how to do that. But if you guys have any questions about how to use this, if there's something that I haven't covered in the video here that you'd like to know, shoot me an email via the contact form and I'll be happy to get back to you. I hope this was very useful for you guys, and I will see you next time for part 16. Thanks so much, and hope you guys are having a great day.